Welcome to Dives Briefed. This is our second diving brief, and we are still in the Sudan. Today we will dive Shoab Rumi or Conch Shelf 2, better known as Cousteau Reef. Shoab means coral reef, and Rumi means Greek, so it is the Greek reef. But I couldn't find any references to the name. It is off Port Sudan and considered to be part of the Port Sudan dive sites. The best way to dive here is by a liveaboard. We will do an episode for Sudan diving in general, so follow our channel. This site is unique, not just because of the pristine reef, zillions of colorfish, and warm waters, but is also the site of a historical significance. In 1963, the father of diving, Jacques Cousteau, did his famous experiment of Continental Self Station 2, an underwater village at this dive site. He built an underwater living quarter for him and his team of oceanauts. They were studying both marine life as well as the human ability to live underwater. This experiment accelerated the world of saturation diving used in oil and gas industry. After 30 days, the village was dismantled. The submarine hangar, the scooter garage, and few wreck parts remain at the site. Now let's do a detailed brief of the Shoab Rumi.
The reef looks like a giant spoon. It is a long stretch of reef, starting from the south. There is an amazing dive site that we will explain in a following video, which is a shark's haven. It goes northwards, getting wider and wider until it expands at the top, circling a huge lagoon. In the lagoon, boats would usually take shelter and moor. Try to spot the dolphins during the sunset in that lagoon, or on your way to the dive site, as they follow your zodiac. On the east side, there is a man-made channel, and the Conch Shelf 2, or Cousteau Reef, is right by the channel. This site is mainly a long plateau stretch along the main reef of Shoab Rumi. The plateau has a mix of coral gardens, sandy areas and coral patches. It is home to various marine life. The main reef acts as a barrier between the lagoon in the middle of the reef and the blue. The plateau lies between the reef and the drop-off. There is a man-made channel in the main reef allowing ships to pass in and out of the lagoon. This is called Fasma, as the Red Sea skippers would call it. Do not surface in the channel, as this could be dangerous. If you must cross the channel, have your SMB deployed. The main attraction of this dive site is the submarine garage, left by Cousteau and his team. It is on the far right if you're facing the reef. It's around 12 meters deep. 10 or 15 meters to its left are the scooters parking lot. Further to the left, there is some wreckage from the remains of the village. Corals have grown over it and many fish are using it as a habitat. The plateau itself has a pristine reef and many of the Red Sea fish like anthias, glassfish, clownfish. You can encounter moray eels. If you are lucky, you can see some sharks in the blue. The drop-off and the wall itself is super nice. You can plan a deeper dive profile and do an amazing wall dive. But that's probably another dive brief video. Currents are mild, although protected by the main reef. It is mainly going from south to north along the plateau. Make sure you check the current with your local guide before you dive. Also be current conscious throughout the dive. This is a shallow dive profile that is an easy relaxing dive. Now let's see the details of that site. This dive is usually a Zodiac entry dive. The Zodiac dropped us right above the scooter's parking. The local skippers would know the exact dropping point. You can see how the corals have grown over the parking and how the plateau is made up of sandy bottom, patches of corals and pinnacles. The scooter parking is now a really cool swim through, but you need to have mastered your buoyancy before you go through, not to stir up the sand or hit your head. From the tip of the scooter parking, you should be able to see the submarine garage. It's roughly 10-15 meters toward the south. Right by the end of the scooter parking, there are a couple of animals with the famous clownfish. Approaching the submarine garage, you can see how corals grew on top. Seems that life find its way in 50 plus years or so. You can enter the garage from its bottom. It's a bit tight inside, so you can go inside in teams of 2. Just watch your head while going inside and make sure you give priority for exiting divers. Inside, there is a school of glassfish that you usually find in Red Sea wrecks. I just love them. They kind of bring any wreck back to life, even though if it's not the original one. Now when you're inside, check out the garage windows. The view from inside is pretty cool.
And we are here with Dive Reef. It's the Shoab Cousteau submarine. Actually, this was the hangar for the submarine. It's really cool to be part of history. This is really cool, guys. Really cool. Let's go.
On your way out, same drill. Watch your head and your buoyancy. Right after you exit, you should see a placard and a bottle of wine in the memory of Alfred Henbull, if I pronounced that correctly. I reckon he was one of the Cousteau's team members, although I couldn't find any reliable reference on the internet. Just a couple of kicks away, and you can reach the drop-off. The reef and the wall are quite healthy. You can make a really nice wall dive there. Now you can see how healthy the coral garden is. A mix of soft corals, hard corals, making it pristine reef. And the colors are really amazing. I recommend this site to all divers. Now check how big is that table reef. It's like almost 2 meters long. Anthias are countless, making it a perfect picture. It's a haven for any photographer. Enjoying the mild current, drifting away northwards, and enjoying the views. Plenty of corals and colorful fish. It's just an easy dive. Now check that out. The perfect reef. No words can describe it. Now we reach the remains of the village. Just some pieces of metal really, but entirely covered with corals. Now we're almost near the channel. Another Nemo with its babies. I really can't get enough of them. Now we're up at 5 meters doing our safety stop. The Zodiac is waiting in the blue, looking out for our SMBs. Deploy your SMB, one for each couple of buddies, then swim towards the blue. In the meantime, you can enjoy the thousands of fish around you.
I really loved that dive. Warm and clear waters, lots of fish and amazing corals. On top you have a bit of history in that small wreck. Looking back at what Cousteau did more than 50 years ago is humbling. I recommend diving in Sudan and diving Shoab Rumi specifically to all divers. It is one of those bucket list dives. I give it a 10. If you like the brief, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook for more diving briefs. Also share it with your diving buddies. See you at the next dive site. Safe diving, everyone.